Good evening, good evening, Grizz Khan TV community. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, wherever you're doing. Yeah, man, I got the red fellas with me. All good, all safe, all well. That's the main thing, people.
Yep. Health-wise, everything good. Just
That's the main thing.
that's health is wealth, mate. But that result obviously put a bit of a dampener on your
That's
Sunday.
the main thing. As long as you're all healthy, that's the main thing. We're here to discuss Liverpool Football Club's third draw in a row away from home, which virtually ends the race for the title. In my opinion, I'll obviously get everyone else's opinion, and the chat can give their opinion. But we're here to talk about it. We're trying to try to chop it up, mash it up, and digest it, just like Evan's digesting whatever he's eating. Like me and Keith were having some cheddar. Say it one more time. What are they called?
Mini cheddar crunchlets for my dieters out there.
What's that got to do with dieting?
77 calories, man. These are my snacks. I got to keep within the 2,500 a day.
Okay.
I've started. New year, new me, baby.
Well, I've just caned these buttes, pop chips, popped, not fried. You understand? I'm about 3/4 way through, and exactly, I wanted to know what Evan's having. He's having Welch's fruit snacks.
Absolutely,
It is what it
left field.
is.
Did not see that coming. Fair enough, Evan.
And he's got oh yes.
That's banging.
Now you're talking.
That's banging.
Oh, that is banging. That with a cup of cold milk. Oh, heaven. But listen.
Look at that comment. Sorry, is this a McBang? That's amazing. Grizz, you would be great doing McBangs. Oh, that'd be amazing.
I don't know what that is.
So that's when people like go on a video and stream and they eat. So they eat food and like quite loudly, so you can watch them eating different types of food, like fish and stuff like that.
Why?
Likes for that.
People like it. Yeah, people like that. Yeah.
Grizz, man, I'm signing in my resignation. I think I found it.
Turned into a McBang after the Chelsea result.
Listen, people like our shows, so they'll like anything.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? The game's the game.
All right, good stream, guys. It was nice talking to you. That's yeah.
I'm off to McBang.
Yeah.
But guys, as I said, Liverpool played an absolutely entertaining, enthralling 2-all draw with Chelsea. Loads of talking points to get into, loads of drama, loads of chances, goals, incidents. But after all that, the shittiest result, the shittiest would have been a loss, but an absolute useless result for both teams, I feel. Conroy, I'm going to come to you, and do you feel the same?
Yeah, pretty much, Grizz. Could come with this, different point of view, but I think you've summed it up perfectly. I think that today highlighted where we are and where Chelsea are just not on the same level as City right now. You can talk about the last two games of City, whatever you want, right? But overall, when it came to it, just we're not on the same. They're on a different level at the moment, playing poor, still getting results. And as you said, that's our third draw in a row away as well.
Yeah.
So I think the way that, I know we'll get into it and break down, and I'm not going to jump the gun like I have in the past about certain instances, but I think really when I'll go on about that game and I've reflected on it, it's still a bit raw, but in my head, there's only maybe a small spell after half-time where I felt like we properly were in it and were like controlling the game or really at Chelsea. Apart from that, I feel like, yeah, it was, to me, it just highlighted the best result was for City today. City would be loving that. If we were in City's position today, perfect result.
Red and V says, result doesn't worry me. I disagree, but performance does. I agree. 10 of 11 in second gear, despite the loss against Leicester. Most of that 11 bar Kelleher were poor. Evan, disagree, agree, expand.
Yeah, collectively just wasn't good enough today. You guys remember last week I began to wonder aloud, both on Twitter and here in the post-match from Leicester, whether the title race was over. I was beginning to lean that way. Most certainly is over now. Obviously, crazier things have happened than a team bottling an 11-point lead. Obviously, this is football. We've all been fans of it long enough to know that, but I exist in the realm of realism, and I think realistically, yeah, that's the title gone for both Liverpool and Chelsea. And Conroy said it today. It's black and white. City are just clearly operating at a different level than Liverpool and Chelsea right now.
Virgilio Santos disagrees with, what does he disagree with? We'll try to work out which point. I'm sorry, Virgilio Santos, but thank you for the super chat.
You think Virgilio's a Chelsea fan, Grizz, so I think he's saying it's 2 points drop for us, 1 for Chelsea.
So he's looking at it from the Chelsea fans' point of view.
2-0 down and stuff, getting back in the game. I can understand that.
Keith, what hurts you more? The manner of the draw, which makes it feel like a defeat, because when you're 2-0 up, especially given, we won't go into the lineups quite right now, but given the experience we had, no team should be 2-0 up before half-time and then go in at 2-2, especially at this level, right?
Well, if any team's going to do it this season, it's going to be Liverpool Football Club, one of the most wasteful teams in the Premier League. Straight up. We could debate long and hard about what FSG should and should have not done in the summer. We can debate long and hard about COVID outbreaks and injuries. But at the end of the day, Liverpool Football Club are wasteful. We have scored 14 goals in games in which we have dropped points in overall this season. That is a ridiculous number of goals to score in a game and not win. And once again, it was the same old story. And the saddest reality, which hurts the most, is that Liverpool are probably one of the only teams in modern history to drop such a sizable lead. When we were 6 or 7 points ahead of Manchester City at this stage.
Seven.
And we didn't go on to win the league. So if it was us in City's position, I'd probably think there's a chance. But the way Manchester City are going at the moment, what they did against Arsenal, that's title-winning material.
Brilliantly timed super chat from Selection. Thank you very much. He says, we seriously need to revamp the midfield. Milner should not be started. Look how we started controlling the game when Kante came on. I'm going to come straight to you, Conroy, and we're going to go straight to the start of the game and the lineups. I think I told you guys a couple hours before it came out. If you want to break the news on Twitter. We find out Milner is starting. We find out Kante is obviously starting because of Matip. And the rest, pretty much, we kind of anticipated, expected. James Milner starts at the grand age of, someone help me out, 36?
He's 36 next month, I think, or this month.
James Milner, an absolute legend. Let's get that clear. An absolute trooper, an absolute warrior, possible future coach for Liverpool. Sets the right environment, the temperament in the changing room, the professionalism. All of that. He shouldn't, in my humble opinion, be starting a game for us when the likes of Ox, Keita, Jones are fully fit, and it's a game we need to win at Chelsea away. But I've said my opinion. The floor is all yours.
See, the thing on that, Grizz, right? I heard a good, it may have been actually yourself, or I think it may have been on before the watch along or on Twitter, which was a point of Milner, and I think they said was the reason they played Milner and Henderson was to kind of allow Shimikas the same as on Trent's side, like Hendo does. And I get that. And you know what? I'm not saying there's not logic behind that, but I think there's too many times this season. It's really hard because you're not having a go at James Milner, because James Milner should not be expected to be starting these games at the age he is. For me, I think, shout out to Callum from Kovacic, he kind of sums up for everyone, I would say, is James Milner comes on when it's 20 minutes to go in a game and we need to be solid and see it out. I think he's very good at that because his experience and control can get us there. Today, I was wondering, did maybe Keita have a bit of an issue and he couldn't start the game the same way Ox? I was thinking maybe there's a reason for that, but I think it's just a choice. And I think there's the proof's in the pudding. This season, we've seen it too many times where you can't really use Milner for a game of this standard to start like that. In fairness to him, he was probably the best midfielder in the first half out of our midfield. I'll give him his due. Like, you shouldn't throw him under the bus. He'll still do what he can, but it's just, come on, for competing for a title, I just think that you need to use Keita or Ox today. And I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, guys, but I feel like that one, sometimes people overreact with squad announcements and starting lineups, but I think that one was all quite clear that I think Keita would have been a better option for today.
Selection's really going for it. Appreciate the support. He says, I hate to say it, but I need to see the recruitment. Need to sell Mane. I'm fully done with him. We need to bring in a tricky forward like we've said his name too many times. We don't want to say it again. Mane and Salah are too static when in front of defense. Conroy, we're going to go straight to the start of the game. We spoke Evan. Conroy spoken about sort of the lineup and whatnot. Straight from the kickoff, who does the long ball? Virgil swings out the long ball to
Kante does the long ball.
Kante does a long ball to Sadio Mane, who, how would you describe it? Aggressively jumps for the ball without looking at the man, but has a flailing arm which catches Azpilicueta quite neatly. And Azpilicueta has a tendency to exaggerate, but I think this one was pretty much, he did nail him.
Yeah, when I saw it happen in real time, obviously didn't have the best view of it, and then I just see Azpilicueta rolling around. My initial reaction was get up. But then you see the replay; it's a sore one, definitely. I'm not sure that's a red cardable offense. Mane has his eyes on the ball the entire time. Players lead with their arms. At least once a game, someone catches one like that in the face, and we don't have a red card every game in the Premier League, do we? So. It would have been tough to send him off for that, but you've seen them given. Yeah, the commentators on my broadcasts in the States were really advocating for a red card. Lee Dixon, my least favorite commentator of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, he's tragic. You guys think you have it bad over there? Oof, just wait till you have Lee Dixon.
God, don't get me started on commentators, mate. We'll be here all day. Let's not do that.
Yeah, listen, it's a tough one. I don't know if you're asking. Are you asking me to? Do you think it was a red card, Grizz? Is that?
I don't know. Just tell me your thoughts. Yeah, go.
Yeah, not a red card for me. It's too common. Like I said, that happens once a game on average, and we don't have a red card every game, do we? So, yeah. But for the first 20 minutes of the game, Chelsea were all over us. We couldn't really sustain any possession. Their initial press was really difficult to deal with. I was asking for a little more from our midfield, but we all know what happened after that. But yeah, that first incident, you've seen them given. You know what I mean? I think most of the people in chat are in agreement with me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I think, sorry, I'll ask Keith before. Now, let me address the super chat. Adams, thank you very much for the super chats. Large up to all of you. Large up yourself, my friend. Even as a United fan, I enjoy watching your show because you man know your football, except Avi. But with that being said, it's time to have an uncomfortable.
It doesn't say that, Chris. It doesn't say that.
Doesn't it? Oh, I thought it did. It's time to have an uncomfortable conversation about VVD. Pep comments. We will have an uncomfortable conversation, Adams. We will. That is on the agenda. But Keith, very quickly on the Sadio Mane incident, I personally believe if he looked at him for a fraction of a second, it would have been a red. I think the fact that he doesn't look at him at any stage saves his skin.
I've got a lot of mates who get onto me about Mane and doing this. One of my mates sent me a voice note saying that it reminds him of what Zlatan Ibrahimovic does quite often with flailing arms and elbows that don't quite look like elbows, but he knows what he's doing. The uncomfortable truth is that Sadio Mane has a history of a very strong arm to the face. I don't know, like his character doesn't seem to be somebody that wants to stick one in to his opponent.
You don't want to start doing those ones, Keith. His character doesn't. We don't want to start doing these ones, do we?
Not. Well, look, at the end, okay, maybe.
I like judging challenges on challenges.
Okay, so if we're going to judge it on a challenge, I say it's not a red card. And the only reason the referee doesn't give it as a red card is because, like you said, he literally does not turn his head. If he turned his head 90 degrees to the left or right, he's off. But he has a history of doing that a lot. And one day he's going to get caught and he's going to put us in a bad situation on the pitch because it's a flailing arm and he's got a history of doing it. So you saw Azpilicueta's face afterwards, like he had a quite a big red welch. Like, he just looked like he just got forearm to the face afterwards. So, you know, he knew what he was doing, but he was smart enough to get away with it.
Yeah, can I just jump on this one, Grizz? I've got to be honest, I think it's absolutely idiotic from Mane. I feel like, for me, that is a red card. I've looked at it. I wasn't straight away thinking it's a red card. Grizz, you're spot on. I think the reason it wasn't is what you said. But if I look at the law, I think that contradicts itself, because intent is not in the law. But listen, the refs do take that, especially with elbows. But for me, the reason I've changed my mind is, in fairness to Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, he made a good point. Is like, why is his arm there? Like, see, if you're jumping up for a ball, you jump up like that. Mane's, for me, his arm, I don't care if it's his wrist, he's out of control there. I feel like that's violent conduct. And I'm not saying I thought that straight away. And I'm looking at, if that was us and that happened, I would say that's a red card if that was a Chelsea player. Because I think, like, he's gave the guy a black eye. Like, I think that for me, not straight away, but I was on the fence for most of today, but I've looked at it a few times, and I do think that's a red card. Like, I think it's just idiotic and stupid, and I think that is violent conduct. Like, I do. You know, and we can't honestly say Mount deserves a red card, as some people will. I didn't think that was a red card, and then not say that Mane's. Like, I just think I worry about where his headspace is if he's doing that 30 seconds in a game.
So you're saying that because of the...
I just think it's out of control, Grizz. What's
you think it's out of control, yeah.
And it's forceful as well. He's given him... Listen, I'm still not 100%, but I'm going to just go with what I feel now, and I've looked at a few comments. I do think it's a red card. I just think it's like... I mean, he's so... You talk about that, Keith. Do you not think Mane's just quite lucky in instances when he's not been sent off? Because there's been a few times where I think he's petulant, he's erratic, and he doesn't get a red card at times. But I get what you mean. At times he gets away with that, and but for me, that was just too forceful. So, like, I'm going to be different, play devil's advocate. If that was
that's fine. Yeah,
if that was a Havertz doing that on, like, say a Shimikas or whatever, you know, like, I feel like we'd be wanting a red card, and I'm about 95%. I would say I think that's a red. Evan, I completely get what you're saying. I get what you both guys are saying, but I just think it's like, I worry where his headspace is doing that 29 seconds into a game, because if he gets sent off there, it's his fault. The game's lost straight away. So I was fuming with him, to be honest, at the very first
Fair enough. Got a couple of super chats that I want to get through before we go on to the... Well, it might be aligned with this super chat. This is on Klopp. Devon K says, appreciate the super chat, brother. This is on Klopp. He said, name me a better midfield than Ox, but started Millie today. We had excuses last season, but not anymore. Watching from Dallas. Big up yourself. How far is that from you? We always ask this question.
Very far. Extremely far.
Okay. As far as us?
Just about. Feels up.
Selection with another super chat says, Hendo needs to get dropped. Tired of Klopp. Keeps pushing Hendo effing forward. He was the false 9 role today at points through the game. Evan, I'm going to stick with the discussion around Henderson, Milner, and we're going to add Fabinho to the mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's just messaged me a stat, and big up yourselves for watching the show, but they said we can't message in here, so they've just messaged me in my DMs. Grizz, can you mention Milner made 13 passes in 70 minutes of football? Completed 13 minutes of passes in 70 minutes of football. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Evan, do you find that embarrassing? Do you find the performance of our three as a collective? Maybe talk them about individually if you must, if one pissed you off and stunk the place out. But for me, the three of them as a collective absolutely stunk out the place. But with respect to the super chats, they seem to be focusing on Hendo Milner. Again, the floor is yours.
For me, the most embarrassing aspect of Milner's performance was when we were in the driving seat and then he just hands them a free kick right outside the box on the stroke of halftime. Listen, chat's going crazy about Milner. Twitter's going crazy about Milner. Why does he start when we have other options? He's too old, too many contract extensions for him. The one thing I don't think we can argue about Milner is why he's there. The coaches trust him to carry out a game plan, right? Because he has all the experience, all the tactical nuance of playing in the Premier League. These things are undeniable. But what's so embarrassing about what he does is that he's on the pitch for precisely that reason, because he's trusted, right? He's trusted to do the right thing and not lose his head. And yet he jumps in and needlessly fouls Havertz like you would expect.
Twice, Ev, twice. It's not
Twice.
just once.
Yeah.
So you can understand sometimes once it happens, but twice.
It's the type of foul you would expect from Owen Beck, you know, in his first Premier League start. A rush of blood to the head. He gives them a free kick right outside the box. And I just remember thinking, that's so needless and unnecessary. Havertz has kicked it out of bounds. He's running towards where we have more men ready to defend the situation. And Milner has a few bites of the cherry and fouls him the second time. So that was extremely frustrating because in the first 20 minutes of the game, I thought the midfield had no semblance of control. We couldn't deal with their press. We couldn't build out. And then we regained control for the next 20 minutes. From minute 20 to minute 40, our midfield were winning the 50-50s, recovering the ball, moving the ball quickly. Milner apparently used up all 13 of his passes in that 20-minute span. But then for Milner to sort of just invite them back into the game. And listen, it's an incredible shot from Kovacic. 3 Neuers aren't saving that shot. But yeah, Milner offering them that easy route back into it is, in my opinion, so contradictory to why he's there, because it's the tackle that he is specifically not supposed to make. He's supposed to do the smart fouls, right? He's supposed to take a foul on the halfway line in the 85th minute. That's what he's supposed to do. But instead, he's handing them a route back into the game late in the second half. Yeah, so that's what I thought about Milner's performance. As a collective, Grizz, it wasn't good enough. We were sort of being dragged around all over the place, even when you could say we had some semblance of control. The midfield, now that we're officially halfway through the season, what's going on in the midfield for Liverpool right now will end up being the story of our season. And it already is the story of our season 50% of the way through. I'm sure you guys have heard me elaborate on that. We've all sort of shared the same view of what's going wrong in the middle of the park and why that is. So we don't need to dive into that. But whereas last season it was the defense, I think we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about who should be in that midfield 3, why they aren't playing enough. And yeah, that's just how I feel about it.
I'm going to take the next 2 super chats again as a collective, unlike our midfield was a collective. And I'm going to fire it at Keith because I know Keith's spoken about the midfield and his worries and how he thinks it's the most vital area that we need to strengthen. Ronaldinho go regular in the chat. Appreciate the super chat. Y'all saying I'm negative because you got to remember he's from Canada, I believe. Y'all saying I'm negative. Do Milner Ox start for our top 6 side? No. Too many mediocre players in this squad that we've learned to accept because of FSG. And then Rahil, big up yourself with a super chat. He says, we need a serious chat about Hendo and that contract. Without energy and shouting, he brings nothing. Let's be honest. Why on earth is he the furthest midfield forward? He's shocking going forward. Had enough. Basically, he's named our midfield. I mean, Ox got stray there. Ox didn't even start today, but he's still got a stray bullet there. But Milner and Henderson seems to be the name on everyone's lip when it comes to sort of evaluating, assessing today's performances. Would you agree with pretty much what Evans has said about our midfield? Have you got any thoughts of your own?
So the biggest issue at the moment is that Klopp and Pep Linders in the summer decided to change the way that we run the midfield, right? Free work, horseman-like midfielders was the name of the game. For control, for balance, didn't really offer much in terms of goals, assists, but always made sure they did the donkey work and press in the half spaces. That's what Liverpool was known as. They decided to flip that on their heads when they got a gem in Thiago and they realized the balance they could have between Thiago and Fabinho. I know we've said this on REDDELLAS a lot, but I think it's important to continue to discuss this, particularly when this is going to be, like Evan has said, it has been the story of REDDELLAS. We've probably come here most Sundays either praising the balance of the midfield with Thiago, Fabinho and anybody at the number 8, or saying that actually we look like we've lost control. So they've decided to make a change. What has happened is that we have ended up with too many players that do a job that is no longer needed in the left centre midfield position, right? Think about it this way. James Milner is getting a lot of flack for what he did in that position. In my opinion, Jurgen Klopp does not trust Naby Keita. He does not trust Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's tried to play them in that part of the pitch in the midfield, and it hasn't worked. Now, but I'm not going to go into what happened in the game, but what I will say is that when Naby Keita came on and he went into that position, yes, he was good on the ball, but off it, I found that actually Pulisic and Azpilicueta were on 2v1s with Tsimikas in the last 10 minutes of that game. And if anything, Milner, although, yes, the challenge was stupid, he was filling in to protect Tsimikas, right? And that's something that Thiago has done so well this season. Is not only has Thiago been really good on the ball, but he's been really good in defending the half spaces and protecting the left back and building with the left back. Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain all drift to the right and into the centre and leave that area exposed. James Milner, unfortunately, is not a good enough footballer in possession, in my opinion, and never has been really to play that type of role. So Klopp and Linders have almost created, they built something, but then now they've created a massive.
I see what you mean. I think what you're alluding to, and correct me if I'm wrong, I did concentrate. I'm not Avi. Second dig of the night already, 10 minutes in. I think what you're saying, and I actually agree with you, that we've advanced the system, we've advanced the eights, yet we're playing the wrong person. We've got the wrong personnel, especially today, to play those eights. So, for example, I know when I asked you name your strongest midfield early in the season, you actually named Elliott as your part of your strongest midfield. I think you said Thiago, Fabinho, and Elliott, I believe, if I remember correctly. Now that makes sense. Technically gifted players to play that role. Elliott has the energy as well, enough to be sort of up and down on that right side to cover Trent. I think I agree with you. I think what you're saying is, I agree with what you're saying, but I still don't understand if he doesn't trust the named players that you've said, Ox, Keita, whoever. Why were they persevered with, Keith? Why are they still at the club?
Because unfortunately, look, you just have to look at Klopp from his press conferences. We watch his press conferences week in, week out. We see his views on the world, politically, his views. He is an idealist, right? He's an idealist. He's the type of guy that's going to tell you, okay, look, he said once, as long as you're in the positions to make something happen, if you fail, I don't mind. That's the kind of philosophy that he has. He is not as cutthroat as Pep Guardiola, who will basically say, if you drift 5 centimeters over to the left, I'm going to drop you and I'm going to put the next man in. CC Raheem Sterling, for example, right? Klopp is an idealist and he has believed in himself that he can create, that he can use the players that he has, which he has bought. Let's not forget, yes, we can go on forever about what FSG, but FSG have signed checkbooks to sign Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, to sign Naby Keita, to sign Fabinho. They've, Henderson and Milner have survived, the last regime. So they have given these players, and Klopp has said, okay, I'm going to make them fit into the system. The question now becomes, are these players redundant in the current midfield that we are trying to correct? And if so, does Klopp have the ruthless aggression, as John Cena once said to all the wrestling fans on the chat, the ruthless aggression to be able to cut his losses on one or two of those midfielders? Because right now we are too far front loaded in the 8, and the minute Thiago goes, he cannot be trusted. He's not fit enough, and if he doesn't play, then we get this situation, and they kill us on that left hand side. So it's the ball's in Klopp's court now, in my opinion.
I actually agree with you, but let's get Conroy's opinion in just 2 seconds. Could have been 4-1 if it would 4v1.
There's a couple of super chats as well, Grizz. I've took a picture.
Yeah, I'm just going to go through them right now. Could have been 4v1 if it wasn't for the Ox touch. I remember the chance. Shocking.
I think it's a bit harsh on Ox. Like, it's like you're acting like Trent's not fired the ball through.
He's having to reach for it.
Ox
is just half a yard behind it. Yeah.
It's sometimes easy to go. I think Ox has had a decent season. Again, I think we're saying this, but Ox has actually had quite a few good performances this season. But yeah, just
AJ says appreciate the super chat. He goes, forget the title if we don't get a settled midfield. We are 100% in our top 4 race, closer to Spurs in 6th than we are to City. Rapstar says, appreciate the super chat, bro. I don't think Klopp has the personals in midfield to play the style he wants to play. He's using Hendo to do what he wanted Elliot to do. The point I made. Why didn't you say it's a good point when I made it?
No, it's a really good point. No,
I'm just saying,
Rapstar
like, I
was
made
on a
that
stream
point, yeah.
earlier and he made that point as well. I was saying it's a good point.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's a good point from both.
4K.
Yeah, flowers, yeah, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I made that same point.
Chris, I'm not happy. I won't give you the credit when you say
Hey,
something.
get one of those flowers behind you, Conroy.
I know. I should have done that, Keith. Keith, you should have messaged me and said, do that. That would have been brilliant. God,
and let me just finish it off, guys. Klopp seemed to have tweaked how he uses Trent too. We've discussed this in the part. Absolutely great points, guys. Conroy. So look, there's another one. I think Klopp is sentimental with his players. He's grown an attachment to them on a personal level. Rapstar says that. So going on from these super chats, and one last one for now. Raheel says, have a theory, because Hendo can't play left centre midfield because he's basic. He has to play right, which negatively affects us going forward. Ox and Naby should play right centre midfield, better trackers, but can't due to Hendo's limitations. The last few super chats seem to be all about the midfield, the change in was it mindset, would we say, in terms of those giving those eights a bit more freedom and chance to express. And also someone's also, the last message has talked about the Trent position as well. If we're going to change this, and I get where Keith was saying, Conroy, but I'll get your take on it, basically, what me and Keith discussed in the super chats. Have we not got the personnel to play the way we wanted to play this season? And if we haven't got the personnel, why isn't there flexibility in our approach?
Absolutely. Like I don't. It's not like one fits all. You can change. That's what top teams are meant to do. So see with the game plan. Maybe today that wasn't the game plan, guys. Maybe our just midfield was just that poor. They couldn't get on the ball and control it, because that's what it looked like to me. I think you're absolutely right, Keith, with the triangles on the right, left as well, but mostly the right. What he's tried to do with Trent's position and Salah coming inside, and Elliot only played 3 games though, guys. So I do think we have to sometimes stop talking about him like he's the saviour. He played 3 games. He's a young guy. Is
that Conroy? Or is that me?
I think we lost him.
From time to come back. Oh,
are you back? Are you back, Conroy?
Am I back? You hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
All right. What did I cut out at?
Okay.
Elliot being the saviour.
Elliot being the saviour, yeah.
I'm just saying he's still a young kid. You need to give him time.
Yeah,
they're primarily like he's obviously young players are inconsistent. But what I mean is, just in general, I feel like today, like you've got a coach on the other side. We have to stop being like we can't change it. Like you've got Tuchel, who's changed his tactics and formations literally 4 times in one game. Actually changed from a 3 back to a 4, I think, within the space of 10 minutes. So maybe that's the Guardiola and Klopp way. They're so stubborn. They're never going to. Their in-game management is not as, what's the word, like constant as maybe someone like a Tuchel, who basically just tear up a plan straight away. However, I feel like today we could go into that more in the next couple of games, guys. We'll see with the personnel. But I think today, for me, the midfield just like no control. Like from the minute go, Grizz, I was watching the watch along. Great watch along. Just a shout out there.
Shout out to the watch along.
To Avi and his what was the other person called?
Itza
was really good as well. Really enjoyed it. Especially he's trying to get synced is always a pain in the arse trying to sync up. It is, but that was really good. But on that, straight away we were like, need someone to just get on the ball and control the game. And I felt like from the first 20 minutes, especially with the Pulisic chance as well, I just felt from that we just were getting overran, no control. And to me, guys, it just felt like it was just a very, very poor performance by the midfield.
Evan, it was probably the most disjointed performance in terms of control, in terms of pressing, in terms of coordination in pressing, in terms of patterns of play, in terms of stability, in terms of experienced players taking control of a big game away from home. In every sense, for me, watching that was one of the worst performances I've seen in the opening half. Yet we managed to take a 2-goal lead. Talk me through that first goal, and how did we end up taking the lead in a game like that?
Well, it's a tough moment for Trevor Chalobah, who's done so well for Chelsea this season. Amidst all of their injury problems and COVID issues, he's he's come through, and I love a good success story from the academy. So it's a bit cruel that he's the one that has to make the mistake. He goes to try to do a diving header clearance, I think, and then he just completely misses it. And it's ice cold from a guy who we never expect to score anymore. And he picked a pretty good day to end his drought. So yeah, nothing wrong with the finish. It's just we capitalize on a mistake. You know, eventually, if you swing the ball into the box enough, someone's going to swing and miss at it, and it might fall to you. It's sometimes football is as simple as that. But yeah, it's extremely disjointed. That first 20 minutes, Chelsea were taking the game to us. That I think, in a way that I think only City at Anfield have taken the game to us, just in terms of the intensity of the pressing. I remember turning to my dad and saying, on like 19 minutes, we had strung 8 or 9 passes together for the first time. It took us nearly 20 minutes. You know,
it took us 7 minutes to string 3 passes together as a team. 7 minutes it took us. So, you know, normally goalkeeper to fullback, that's 1 pass. Fullback to centre back to his other centre back, that's 3 passes. And we do that with our eyes closed. Matip and Virgil, we do that for, I was going to say living. Of course they do it for a living, but do you know what I mean? Like, we do that. We didn't manage to get 3 passes strung together. I thought they pressed us like how we hound teams and don't let them out. Do you know how we often talk about when we're at our best, we don't let them out of the penalty area?
Yeah.
We absolutely pen teams in there. They actually penned us in there. But I still don't think they were quality. I still don't think they were good on the ball as they could have been. They were still suffering from a lack of confidence. Obviously, the troubles they've had. But they were just so...
They were up for it, Grizzy. They were up for the battle.
They were so more energetic, so more up for it than us, Evan. And I thought, when you take a goal lead, you got to utilize that in your advantage and for the game advantage. It had the adverse effect on us. I want to go to Keith for the second goal. We're 1-0 up, and then Trent, who we may go on to, if somebody wants us to, I guess we have to. I thought he was absolutely anonymous through the whole game, regardless of this position we're playing him or not. But I think Conroy said, or Evan said, when you've got world-class players, you're always going to have moments. He finds Salah with a beautiful pass. Only Trent can probably find that pass on our side today. And Mo Salah, just like Sadio Mane, with the most composed finish seems like fucking ages.
It was a beautiful finish. It's so funny because I'm so used to Salah scoring these type of goals only for us to draw. It seems like if you have a catalogue of goals that he has scored similar to that, the likes of the ones against Everton,
Spurs last minute equal. Everton, you said City.
Man City. Every time he scores a beautiful goal like that, it seems to end up as a draw. I could not believe our luck that we went 2-0 up that quickly. I thought the price and the vision. Trent takes out 5 players in 1 pass, which is just incredible. It's the kind of world class. When you see his numbers up there with Kevin De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes, that is the reason why, because you can pull something like that out of a hat. I thought even for the first goal, it's ironic actually, because Kovacic, who were going to have massive flowers, I thought he was completely bypassed with ease by Diogo Jota. And it was interesting actually, just touch on quickly on the first goal, because the second goal was really just a hit over the top, and then Salah does what Salah's best. But I noticed that Pep Lijnders, which was really interesting actually, you see him on the sideline, and just before that goal, he's saying to the boys, hey boys, like, listen, you come in here and let's start to move it around. Right, he makes that call. As the camera's gone off to see him make that call, Kante gets the ball and for the first time plays a forward pass through to Jota. It was the first time we actually built something together. So I thought that was quite a cool moment for Pep to kind of call that out from the sideline, and it happened in real life. And a bit of a defense of Sadio Mane. Look, we can go on to talk about individuals later on, but you know, let's look at the numbers, right? Sadio Mane has 8 goals this season. He's the 3rd top goal scorer. He's got the same amount of goals as Antonio, Jamie Vardy, Cristiano Ronaldo. These are the type of people that he has in the Premier League, right? Sadio Mane has scored in 8 different games. He has scored against 3 of the top 4, And the points and we have dropped points in 3 of those games. So what more do you want the guy to do? Yes, he can be frustrating with his touches. Yes, the decisions that he makes can be annoying. But when you are playing a high-pressured game like that, and you go 1-0 up, and it was a good finish, bearing in mind he rounds the keeper, almost makes me think sometimes Mane is better when he doesn't need to think. He's one of those type of finishers. When he doesn't need to think about it, he acts on instincts, he usually finishes. And that was an instinct finish as well.
Finishes better when he's off balance, Keith. Finishes better. He finishes when he's falling over.
That separates the difference, though, guys. It's the ones who are like killers and the ones who have to be instinctive. There's lots of good instinctive. Don't get me wrong, I thought Mane was really good today, but I think like that's the difference. That's where you look. Salah's went up because he's actually worked on when he's one-on-one, putting it in as well. But like, apart from what I said earlier, Keith, I agree. I think Grizz sums it up. You said loads of times about Mane this season. Just need to accept the player he is now. But he's still very effective for the team. But it seems to be like extremism. It seems to be like oh, let's drop Mane, let's sell Mane. Whereas I'm just like, except he's still effective. He is quite annoying, frustrating at times with his touch, but I'm kind of normalised with that now, to be honest with Mane. Had a few instances like that today, but I thought he was kind of like Tottenham away. He was quite effective still. The work down the left was really good. So
I'm going to stick with you and talk about very quickly before we go on to the Chelsea comeback. Rapstar says, appreciate the super chat. Says doesn't seem we went there to attack them. Kind of agree with the way the selection of the midfield.
We were playing that high line then. Oh my god, yeah. I agree with him.
It's weird. I think we went to play on the counter. I like how calm Kelleher looks on the ball to Ali. Very quickly, another Salah great got bottled again. You know what we touched upon. Rapstar with another super chat says we need to start talking about Jota's passing when he gets close to the final third. Horrible. Mane isn't it? Need to start courting his replacement. I think it's fair to say Rapstar's not overly pleased with Mane even today. Bit weird not to be pleased with him today though, of all days. Conroy, I thought the standout performer in that first half for me was quite clearly Kelleher. But even though he was so calm, even though he was so good, he has absolute zero chance with that Chelsea comeback. We've discussed Milner's contribution to death. But once that's dealt with, we know Milner fucked up. Stupid decision. Like Evan said, he's on the pitch not to do shit like that. Especially when you're 2-0 up and just about 10 minutes away from halftime or something like that. 10, 15 minutes away. 5 minutes away from halftime, for fuck's sake. Even worse. They get a free kick. Kelleher gets a decent punch to it, right? And
yeah, that's pretty good.
And then probably the star man of the game, alongside someone else that maybe we'll talk about later, just does one of those goals where you could, in training, when one of the coaches throws the ball at you guys and tries to do that, I don't think he does that again in 10 attempts.
I think like this might be one of the best like volleys in Premier League years. The reason I'm saying that is like he's got zero backlift there. Like he's actually heading back, and it's not like he's hitting that with any power. Like that's just pure technique.
Cobra Kai, innit? A bit of Cobra Kai about.
Well, it is, but to hit that perfectly, he's got to like position it where it's going in the goal perfectly, because it's not necessarily going to fly by Kelleher. Just I think that's an unbelievable finish. Like
sorry, very quickly. This is so true. This is embarrassing amount of likes compared to how many views. Right? It's embarrassing, right?
Come on, guys. If you hate us, get the likes up.
We love our ratios, right, Evan? That's a ridiculous, embarrassing ratio.
If you like seeing Liverpool fans upset, smash the like button. Let's get the Chelsea fans going. Come on, let's get the rival fans.
If you want to drink our tears, get us up to 500 likes. Come on.
That's ridiculous. 153 likes. Are you not taking the piss?
If we can get to 300, I will force myself to cry. How about that? I swear. I will cry.
Sorry, Conroy, we digress.
Yeah, no, just it was an unbelievable technique. And I think one of the commentators said, or it might have been a Chelsea fan I heard, said Kovacic is really not known for being good at shooting. Like he's not great at it. So for him to do that it was very impressive. Like sometimes, honestly, as football fans, I think we moan about too much. Sometimes just say, what a goal. And you didn't watch along, to be fair, Grizz. You just went, what a goal. And it is. It's like Gareth Bale in the Champions League final. Sometimes you just have to be like, there's nothing you can do about that. Forget Milner. That free kick could have been given by Shimikas mistiming it, Van Dijk, anything, that's done, and that ball goes out, and that's just like unbelievable. Like, I watched it 3 times, and I went, that's just what I think that might be goal of the season, just for the technique itself, because he's got no backlift. He's actually walking back the way, so it's not like he's in the perfect position. He's walking back the way. That's ridiculous. What a goal.
Has Dean got a valid point there? Conroy or Evan?
I sometimes think we're always looking for something. Like, I just think that's a great goal. Like, see if that was a Liverpool player. So how many times have you seen Salah get a volley at the edge of the box like that, and it goes rose ed? Like, you're not thinking someone's going to score from there. I'm not saying you can't press, but I just think in general, it's the first time volley. I think give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, look, Evan, I gave it credit. I knew. I was in a couple of Chelsea spaces that I thought I'm going to have fun and bantering, and I was telling the guys, the Chelsea people, that I can near enough with absolute certainty tell you will play Havertz as a false 9 against us, and you will 100% play Kovacic and Kante as the double pivot as opposed to Jorginho. Together, they were an absolute force. I want to give Kante his own section, even though it's a Liverpool channel, but we're football people here, right? We appreciate. I want you to talk to me about the second goal, because the second goal was a mess, as far as I'm concerned. As a whole, team setup, structure, communication, coming out as a team. We praise Keith. Keith praises Liverpool's defensive line so often. I want him to criticize the defensive organization this time, but I'm going to come to him later. I want you to tell me. I'm going to do exactly what Conroy said we tend to do, where we look for blame. I want you to find blame.
No, there was blame in this one, Chris. 100%. There was blame in this
one. So talk to me, because I've watched it 2-3 times. I've watched it 2-3 times. I've got a couple of players that I think, but the floor is yours, as the case may be today.
Okay, so wow, and that's all Grizz had to say about it.
Yeah, no, Grizz actually hates your opinion, Evan. He's left.
No.
And hey, guys, that's us for tonight, because Grizz has had enough.
Yeah, Grizz has had enough. We're gonna run the show now. So listen, the worst part. Oh, you're not gonna miss it, Grizz. I waited for you.
I was so angry.
No, Grizz did it on purpose. He left.
I was so angry. I was like,
listen. The worst part about that second goal is that it's becoming an increasingly familiar goal to concede. We have conceded a carbon copy of that goal about 6 or 7 times this season, and the most common trend is Henderson not tracking a run from midfield, or a runner that just goes right underneath his nose. Obviously, no one covers themselves in glory in this goal. Kante doesn't. Van Dijk doesn't. You like you said, Grizz, it is a collective mess. Nobody is getting a pass here. But the amount of time, I have to pick on Henderson, because the amount of times Henderson has failed to track a run that goes right past him, or he's expecting someone else to pick it up, and then that person goes on to score or be in a dangerous position, it's off the charts in amount of times that's happened this season. And I think,
especially last few games, Evan.
Yeah, and guys, I swear I'm not being reactionary. I'm thinking about games in the Champions League. I'm not just thinking about.
Conroy, are you listening? He's not being reactionary just towards Henderson.
Yeah, I'm not thinking about just the last 2 or 3 weeks. And this goes back to what Keith was saying. I can't tell if Henderson has dramatically declined, or he is just wholly unsuited to the way this new midfield plays.
Good point.
And maybe they're coinciding at the same time, and it's creating a really fucked up mixture. But listen, you're right, Grizz. Collective failure. There's at least 2 or 3 players who could have done much better, but I've chosen to pick on our captain, because, like Milner's mistake, they're there because they are trusted above all to carry out a game plan and stay switched on mentally. That's why they're captain and vice captain. For them to commit these errors when we are starting just for the first time to exert some control over the game, forget the goals. We're starting to look like we're going to have a say in this game too before halftime. It's exactly what they're not there to do, and that's what makes it all the more frustrating. And I'm, again, not trying to be reactionary. I don't want to jump on any type of hate train or anything, but it's getting to the point where I I believe we only have 2 midfielders currently at the club that are of the level that is.
I disagree with that. He's allowed to have a bad game, mate. Come on, why is it?
No. He's allowed to have
Let
a
him
bad
finish.
game. Conroy, I should have said with the way this midfield is playing. Sorry, I should with the new way that this midfield plays. I genuinely only think that 2 midfielders at our club are suited for it. Obviously, I've seen Henderson excel in other systems. He's played the Fabinho role. He's played in different iterations and versions of that midfield 3. But like Keith said, for the way that Klopp and Linders have reinvented the midfield 3 for this season, he is entirely unsuited to it. And that's my take.
Conrad, I won't go to you directly because I'm going to go via Keith because I know he has strong views as well. And I just want to take him up on that, what Evan said. That could be the take of the night. Just to say, but fire the fist, he says. Kante always has a good game against us. Too good. I wouldn't disagree at all. The outstanding play on the pitch. Keith, just any reactions to what Evan said there, and your take on that shambles of a second goal, which ended up in Pulisic having a clean strike. Now, I've been very complimentary of Kelleher. Some people have suggested to me he maybe could have saved that because it wasn't in the corner. I don't know.
It's over him, right? He got zinged.
I don't know. Was it over him? But okay, just putting it out there.
So what the highlights probably won't show you at the moment, but if you missed the game, you'll see on Match of the Day. Is there's a sequence just before the madness kicks off, and again I have to back Eben here. Jordan Henderson decides to play a high, long loft, almost like a half clearance over to Trent Alexander-Arnold in his own part of the pitch to put Trent under pressure, which makes him have to jump, go for the head, the ball gets back to them, and then away they go. Now, you touched on it, Grizz. I talk a lot about the high line, right? We live and die by this high line, and for a lot of the times it's been good.
And I think Conroy wants to speak about that as well afterwards. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I'm just reminding Conroy.
So what also bothers me, I'm going to have a little bit of a nudge at, and it's Konate, because for me, Konate is a fantastic physical pressing centre back. But one of the things I always noticed at Leipzig between him and Upamecano is that at times they would risk coming out of a defensive line because they believed that they had the physical nous to win the ball back, if you will. And their timing on coming out of the defensive line causes issues. Now, Konate gets dragged out of that defensive line, and all of a sudden, like Evan said, Henderson's not picked up Pulisic, and you obviously got Pulisic and Mount, who he's left behind him. Konate's come this way, and all of a sudden you've got a massive gap through the middle, which is just going to walk through and score. So whereas Konate's gone here, you've got Van Dijk and you've got Shimikas, who are still keeping them all on side. Now, does Joel Matip do that? I think Joel Matip over the years has become a much more a smarter centre-back to know when and when not to press. So by him pressing out, Virgil and Tsimikas are keeping him on side. He gets caught in no man's land, and away you go. And look, you can say that Kelleher maybe should have done better, but Kelleher should not really be in 1v1 situations of that nature. Liverpool Football Club should not be giving chances like that away. And it's a gift, an absolute gift. A man that's been bought for £65 million should be able to finish that no problem at all. And he does just that. So the catalogue of errors starts with Henderson, but at the end of the day, it could have been. There was still time to avoid that. If Konate keeps his positioning and doesn't go haywire, at least then you can invite the pressure onto them and make them think about it. That was the thing. A lot of the time today in this game, we made the decision for them. I look at Fabinho, for example. He got dribbled past 5 times in this game. Unheard of. 5 times Fabinho got dribbled past in that game because we kept going into things and giving them the impetus to make the first choice instead of being a little bit more relaxed. And that comes down to a little bit of we're Premier League and Champions League winners. We should be smart enough in game management to know, okay, it's 2-0, just gone to 2-1, right? Let's not try and still play and press and go crazy. Let's just be a little bit more sensible and sit a little bit more. And I think that's what will frustrate me about that goal.
I think Conroy will share your frustration because he messaged in the WhatsApp something about that. Or sorry, I think he spoke to Avi, and Avi said Conroy made a very good point.
Yeah.
But I'll just read a couple of super
Not
chats
very often I do, but I got this one.
But I'm not like you. I'm ready to give you flowers, right? Whereas you went for the viewers. But the thing about players like Kante is that you know what they're all about and you know what they're going to do. You just can't stop them. He's a gem. Keith says he ran past Fabinho 5 times. I'd say a couple of times he walked past Fabinho as well. I'm very surprised that no one has mentioned the performance of Fabinho today. I have all of you guys, football men. I see a bit of favoritism there. Fabinho was awful. He was trash out there. So I wanted to put that out there. No one gets a pass. Just because we mentioned Milner and Henderson, and we've had a couple of super chats about Henderson and Milner. Fabinho needs to be talked about as well. He was atrocious. Evan spot on. Ronaldinho Goat says, need midfield clear out. VVD convo, we're going to come to that as well, my brother. VVD convo is coming as well. Maybe we can talk about the VVD convo right now, Conrad. Just one last super chat.
Yeah, of course.
Rapstar says, I agree. Thiago and Fab are the only two who fit the new way the midfield works. Leave Kante. LFC give away one-on-ones for fun. It's nothing new. You hate the fact, Conroy, the way we continue to play, the way we do, even regardless of what the scoreline is. Take it away.
Right. Well, so just on that, and I'll lead to that just before we forget, on that goal as well. We spoke about Kante, Henderson. Evan, I do agree it's Henderson, but I would actually say the biggest fault in Henderson in that goal is, see the pass. Now, he's not hoofing it. He's actually trying to, it doesn't look great, Keith, but it looks like he's trying to play Trent in to start an attack to keep the ball. But see if he just booted it up the park. That's the mistake for me, because then he's caught out of position, because I think the transition's very quick. Now, on that transition, Jamie Carragher done a bit of analysis, and I think this is a fair shout as well. If you watch when Pulisic gets it, right, Van Dijk just kind of saunters over instead of changing his direction to affect the shot. And I'm not saying he's going to tackle him, but it wouldn't have been a clear run to goal if Van Dijk had came across, and he's able to see some match of the day. You can actually see it, that if he sprints across, because there is a bit of time for Pulisic to take before it gets, I think it's the first time he finished, but there's a little bit of time. If he changes direction and run, he could affect the shot. Now, I don't think it's nitpicking, because I actually think he doesn't sprint across Van Dijk. So I think that's another person to address for that goal as well. But on that, guys, I messaged Avi at half time, and I'm like, we start to go a bit crazy as Liverpool fans, because the high line's been amazing, and he'll stick by it. I completely understand the high line. I understand the logic. You get it high up, and if you can do that, it reduces the shots or chances teams get on you. That's all amazing, and I'm not saying we stop doing that. But see, today, we had won the lottery to get 2-0 up. That factually, we had won the lottery. That was not 2-0. I've never seen a big top 6 clash where a team had somehow got in control or got a lead like that. So for me, I'm thinking, right, they're getting in the high line all the time. It's not working today. There's no control. We're getting bypassed. Why not? Let's drop 10 yards today and just let's see to half time. In-game management. I don't know why we didn't do that today. I think maybe that is a question, that if we're not at it 100%, why are we not adapting to the circumstances? I'm not saying I don't know more than these guys. I completely understand the logic. But see, today, from the very first minute, and I know you said it as well, Grizz, they were getting in constantly. So this was not a masterclass by us. Because it's different if you're Old Trafford away, when you're absolutely battering a team. I understand that, and you might feel like you're going to get the better of them. But today, I didn't think that tactic worked, and I just don't know why we didn't adapt. As soon as we got that second goal, I felt like, you know what, let's just drop 10 yards for a bit and then look to the second half. We can do that. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just feel like there could have been a bit of flexibility with it. I don't know why it has to be so high, especially when you've got a team who can counter like us. I feel like we're maybe missing out sometimes.
Can I say one quick thing just on that goal?
Of course.
One more thing. The biggest difference between what we did in the defensive transition and what they did can be seen in the way Rudiger wins that initial ball. Rudiger comes in aggressive. He comes in tough. He wins that ball, and we needed Van Dijk or Kante to do exactly the same thing. Yeah. And it was very casual. And it's something.
Yeah, Salah should do better there as well. But
it's something.
a bit harsh.
It's Ronaldinho says if Fab, Thiago, Elliott can be fit, we can win the Champions League. A lot of calls for Elliott to be back.
He's only played 3 games, guys.
I
We
know,
calm
I
down
know,
a bit
I
with
know.
Elliott.
Exactly. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. But
Unbelievable potential, guys. Unbelievable potential.
it's the mindset of the fan, isn't it, Keith? Conroy. It's a mind of a fan where we're seeing an area of the pitch where we're not happy with, as compared to sort of the start of the season, maybe. It's an area of the pitch where there was decisions to be made in the summer that weren't made. Some people in the chat even saying, can't believe you guys are not talking about FSG. If we get to 300 likes, we will speak about FSG. So if you want us to talk about FSG, we're about 25 likes away from 300. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? Get to 300, we'll discuss that as well. Otherwise, FSG in. I'm joking before you go mad in the chat.
I was getting clipped and more Grizz. Oh, no.
You're giving it away, Grizz. You're supposed to wait for the 300 likes.
Abby's doing that right now. Abby is literally clipping it up right now and throwing you under the bus.
But Evan, it seems to be it's natural from a fan's reaction point of view that when we talk about an area of the pitch that we discuss to death in the summer, that then we discuss the options going into the season when we realize we're not going to get a central midfielder in. We have these options. We've changed the formation, tweaked it. Let's say we haven't changed it. We've tweaked the formation. It has to be a collective blame, like we've tried to do a collective blame for the goals and the performance. There has to be a collective blame for the situation we find ourselves in. And I'm talking FSG. I'm talking about Jurgen Klopp. I'm talking about Pep Linders. I'm talking about the midfielders himself. We shouldn't be as open coming up to Christmas as we seem to be going into games, right? Like I think Conroy said it, or someone in the chat said it. The amount of times teams have direct access to our back four is frightening at the moment.
Yeah, it's nowhere near good enough. There was so much discourse over the midfield in the summer to the point of it was nauseating having to talk about it for one more day. You know what I mean? It was just so exhausting, that summer transfer window. But now that we're halfway through and we have a big enough sample size of performances to look through, like I said, it goes back to personnel in the midfield, whether they're available enough, whether they're suited to play in this new tweaked formation, or whether they're just good enough to play for Liverpool. Every single midfielder in our squad has one of those 3 question marks above their name,
and it shouldn't.
And we sit around and we wonder why we look so inconsistent there. Well, some of them aren't available enough. Some of them don't suit this system, and some of them just aren't good enough. And I'll let the chat and I'll let every Liverpool fan can have their opinion on which player falls into which category, because everyone's right. I'm just saying every single player, no matter how you feel about them, falls into one of these 3 undesirable categories, and that's the problem. Just like from a outside looking in at the squad, that's the issue there. I am generally very pro recruitment. I think we get a lot of recruitment right. That is, when we do, on the rare occasions we do recruit.
When we do it, I get what you.
Yeah, when we do it,
it's spot on.
Yeah, we seem to be really good at it when we do it. So let's do some more of it. Here's the thing, because I've been proven wrong. I've been proven wrong so much by the guys who identify players, by the players we pursue, that I've just learned to keep my mouth shut. You guys want to go get Sadio Mane instead of Julian Brandt. I disagreed with that at the time. I was wrong. And there's a million other cases like that. However, here's one thing I'm spot on about. If your most available and most utilized player of the Klopp era is stalling on signing a new deal because we're not giving him what he wants, and he's a midfielder, and we all know who I'm talking about, and you give the contract extension to the captain, who's older and not available enough, in my opinion, questions have to be asked. For me personally, what I expected from Liverpool when Wijnaldum departed is, I thought, given how well we plan and how well we identify talent, I thought there was going to be a Wijnaldum replacement announced the next day. That's what I've come to expect from the club, because they had time to plan for this. They had time to recognize what we needed and just exactly in terms of numbers what we were losing with Wijnaldum. And when that didn't happen, that was, in my opinion, absolute malpractice. Because let's be honest, even if Wijnaldum had stayed, there was still an incredibly valid argument to be made that we needed another midfield body. Because players like Keita and Ox, they weren't available enough. Henderson kind of falls into that category too. The average age of the squad. There's a myriad of things that you could have argued for, warranted another midfield signing. So when Wijnaldum walks for free, a player we should have gotten 30 or 40 million for, when he walks for free and there was not a replacement lined up the next day or soon after, I was incredibly disappointed by that. And now that we're sat here on January 2nd, 2022, the new year begins and the title race ends, and we're all talking about the midfield. So it's a really frustrating position that we find ourselves in. That's just how I feel about it.
We all feel pretty much like you, but it could be worse. As our resident Everton fan tells us, brilliant. Shout out to Stephen Richardson. Good evening. Happy New Year to you as well, Stephen. Rafa out. Our resident Ever fan. This is what I love about our show. We've got people saying, "Come on, you Spurs." We've got Spurs fans in the chat. Yeah, Antonio.
What about Brush, Grizz? You had your tweet at New Year, and it was at Brush for the Man United fan was saying one of the best shows. So honestly, the community, unbelievable.
Absolutely,
unbelievable.
You lot are amazing, and we're going to keep trying to push out the content for you, Keith. Halftime comes 2-2. Absolute sickening blow that we've managed to find ourselves 2-2 after taking a unexpected, unrealistic at the time 2-0 lead, but we take it. We take it because going in level, I know we took a 2-0 lead, but the performance wasn't a level performance, if you know what I mean. I think in the second half, for that first 20 minutes, we give a better account of ourselves. We have, guys, correct me or help me here, probably the latter, help me. I think I can remember the Sadio Mane chance, and I remember the Salah shot, a brilliant shot, instinctive again, and a brilliant save. A couple of other situations where we can fucking break on them, because remember, they're still playing this high line as well. They're playing it more aggressively in terms of pressing our forwards, but they're still playing it. We just don't have the nous or the vision or the control in midfield and in the fullback areas to penetrate. But we do have some chances and some resemblance of control, maybe exaggerating, but 50-50 in the opening 20 minutes, Keith.
The biggest irony of the second half is that, first 20 minutes, I thought we started to knock it about a little bit more. I actually thought that Chelsea played in a style, in a way that at times I felt throughout the whole game that was actually quite uncomfortable for them. They came out, they pressed us in half spaces. They stood, they took a couple of steps up, and we were finding gaps and holes. We were finding 2v2 situations. And the irony of this whole podcast tonight is that, hey, we probably had two of the biggest chances of the second half. There were three big chances in the second half, right? You got the Mane chance where he's not running on instinct. He's balanced, and therefore, he doesn't finish. Where again, a player of his caliber should be nestling that into the top right corner. The Salah chance, catching Mendy off his line. I mean, if Mendy's a couple of inches shorter, I think he's going to.
I think Mendy's probably one of the only keepers in the Premier League that actually managed to reach that. I think. I don't know many.
He's getting a strong hand as well, though, guys. It's easy to get a hand in that and it goes in, because you've seen it.
I'm not sure.
Pushes it out. It's brilliant.
I'm not sure. There's
hard when you're trying to run backwards too. You know what I mean? You know how easy it is to just trip over yourself. You know what I mean? Like that.
Oh, you must have done that a few times. That's why you're saying it.
It was so. If it doesn't show you how Salah's evolved in the sense of, like, that's quick thinking, and people might say, give an example, but for me that shows where his game is right now. He's actually that confident. I'll try and take him from here. Like, for me, that just a quick side note, guys. See Salah's goal as well. See what you've got with Mo now is, like, see Marcus Alonso. It's not a great defender, is he? But he actually doesn't let him come onto his left, which I don't think is the worst defender in the world. But because he gives that space, that's the problem with Salah now. He'll go that way like he done against City. So the thing is with Salah, like, I mean, that touch from Trent's pass is unbelievable. Like, from his right foot, the confidence and level of Salah right now is ridiculous. Just wanted to add that, guys.
No, and continuing from the second half, despite all of that, for me, that second half was N'Golo Kante's second half. Now, I know we've flirted with it. We've seen a lot of people mention it on the chat, but he literally played about 5 to 10 different positions in that second half. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. You know what he doesn't get enough credit for? His quality on the ball. He wanted that ball. He was dribbling past our bypassing the midfield like it was not even there, filling in for right back when he wanted to defend. Even with I believe with the Salah chance, he was the last man tracking, and he actually caught Salah up, but he was going to defend him if it wasn't for Salah's quick thinking in that scenario. So, you know, like his performance in that second half was, you know, of a level of a world-class footballer. What really just disappoints me about that second half was just the fact that we could not get out of our area. That was the saddest bit. Every time Kelleher had the ball and he played it to Van Dijk and he played it to Kante, they took 2 passes and Chelsea had the ball again. And Chelsea had the ball again and again. Van Dijk, his sprays were just going to no one. We were so nervous. We were so uncomfortable. Henderson, his first touch was all over. There was just no like confidence in the ball. The positional sense of Chelsea to just say, all right, go, have the ball. Go on. You can have the ball, Liverpool. Do what are you going to do with it? And we just didn't do enough with it. And that goes down to, again, unfortunately, you know, the control and the level of skill required from our midfielders to be able to say, do you know what, lads, we're going to move it around a little bit. We're going to keep the ball. We're going to push up 5 yards every time. Just creep up. Let's push them into their box a little bit. And we did none of that. It was almost as if we were playing like a bit of a we were the mid-table team and Chelsea were just going to kill us. And they almost did. Because that's that Pulisic has. I think it's Pulisic where he shoots it straight at Kelleher.
Good save though. Yeah. Good reaction. I know it's straight on, but it's good save.
He should have killed us again.
We'll go on, no aggression. Sorry. We'll go into that as well. We'll go into sort of what happens after that 20 minutes and why we retreat or the changes have zero impact. We'll go into the substitutions. But I totally agree with Delia. Like,
no, I think
it's true. It's like Kante, like these days, plays every 2-3 games, it seems, right?
It doesn't matter because, like, for all of Kante's incredible qualities, his best quality is his ability to thaw himself out twice a season to play against
He
us.
got 5 man of the matches when they won the Champions League last year, guys. Come on. He got 5 man of the matches when they won the Champions League. Come on. Like,
I'm kidding. I just
I think when you ask the question, Grizz, because you tweeted it, and I'm gonna ask it, right? Because I think I agree with Grizz now. I've debated this question, but is Kante the best central defensive midfielder in the world? And I actually think, for what he does, the ground he covers, like I just think, like people.
You show me someone better, man.
People disrespectively say it's the Makelele role. That's rubbish. It's the N'Golo Kante is a different level. Like, he is different. He's better. He's evolved from the Makelele role. He covers everything. He's not a holding midfielder. I get that, and people say that, but basically, he will cover the ground of 2 people. I don't know anyone else who's ever done that in the world of football. Like, he's unbelievable.
He's more of a box to box now. Like that was for. I know Chelsea fans don't remember the Sarri era fondly, but one thing that Sarri did was move him out of the 6 exclusively and tell him to have more of a box-to-box presence, and that seems to be a theme that his predecessors have done as well. So when I think of the best 6s in the world, I don't think of.
But he's
Kante.
The best defensive midfielder, though. Like, defensively, he does the most to protect the defense and the team defensively. Like, for me.
Oh yeah. If you're not talking about like literally the position, you're just
not as much holding, just like what he does to protect a team's defensively.
He might be the best midfielder in the world for that reason. You
That's
know what I mean?
I done a tweet and everyone killed me because I'm not into FIFA and I don't know the abbreviations of.
You didn't say holding midfielder, Chris. You said defensive midfielder, and he is a defensive midfielder.
But no, I think I should have just simplified it and said the best midfielder in world football, like Evan says,
Yeah.
because then there would be no argument. So people started telling me about what he is, what he isn't. Like, I don't fucking know what Kante is, right? And I don't know the role he plays. I just worded it wrong. I should have just said, instead of the best CDM or CMD, whatever I fucking fucked up and saying, I should have just said he's the best midfielder in world football, because there is no argument, in my opinion. Jamrock, thank you for the super chat. He says, read that LFC isn't Basuma's first choice.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
LFC isn't. Yeah, I think I heard it from me probably.
No, I did. I just retweet all your stuff. That's what I do.
But yeah, look, Basuma, I think, has sort of issues going on outside of football that needs to be resolved before we can discuss anything else. There was another not a super chat, but a comment that I really wanted to talk about. But Evan, basically, we take it up to about the 70th minute, where I think, for the first time in the whole of the game, we have a resemblance of, as I said, slight control. We've managed to string a few passes together, and we've noticed that every time we string a few passes together, it almost leads to an opening or a near opening. Jurgen Klopp, I'm assuming, calls in Pep Linders and decides to make a couple of changes. Jota comes out the firing line, who was shocking, as most people are saying. Can you speak about Jota? He was shocking. We know he was shocking, man. And also comes out the firing line Milner. In comes Ox for Jota. Ox goes as the false 9, and Naby comes in for Milner's position. Neither of those sub had any impact on the game in the final 20 minutes or so. In fact, it killed any momentum that we were possibly building up to. Do you agree, disagree? What's your thoughts on that?
I just thought the second half largely was kind of shit. I mean, Grizz, we were in that same space, I think, last night. I think most of the Chelsea and Liverpool fans collective in there seemed to think that this game was going to be a boring draw. Of course, the first half was anything but the second half, I think, resembled kind of closer to what I think most people were expecting. The subs did absolutely nothing. Like you said, if anything, it made us less effective. We had 2 good chances. You guys already touched on the Salah chance. Mane turned back the years with his little combination play. Our highlight of the second half, you guys remember the tight feet and tight spaces, the 1-2 passing with Salah, and then his shot at the end. I think he should have
gone far post, maybe?
Gone far post, or maybe put it at less of a comfortable height.
Height.
Yeah. So it's an underwhelming shot. It's not a bad shot. It's a shot on target. But
it was similar to Lookman's goal.
Yeah. From a bit further away, yeah. But it, just you would want him to be tested a little bit more. But yeah, that was the highlight of our second half, was a sort of a 17-18 Mane Salah combo play. But yeah, the subs did absolutely nothing. Anytime I see Oxlade-Chamberlain in the front 3, I'm instantly unhappy for obvious reasons. Just can't remember him ever having a good game there ever. Guys, let me know if I'm wrong. I don't
think he's a false 9 though, Evan. So I sometimes think it's hard to have a go at him, because I don't think.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault. I think we're all in agreement. Oxlade-Chamberlain's had a good season, all things considered. Coming from where he was in our heads and in the pecking order, he's had a good season. It
was a strange sub, mate. It really was.
Weird subs. Who knows if that's a Klopp call or a Pep call? One thing I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. That reminds me. How much was Klopp sort of directing things? Do you think this was a time for him to push the boat out and say, Linders and Krawietz, you guys run the show. I'm not here. I trust you guys. Like, do you think that's how it works? Or do you think, like Arteta was for Arsenal, he's talking to someone through like AirPods or whatever people were saying?
Well, the irony of that is, I remember listening to Klopp 2 weeks ago in a press conference, and he was saying that apparently, like, Linders is always in his ear. We need to do this more. We need to do that more. We need to be this. Da, 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 da. And he said like he has to take all that in and has to almost reduce the amount of information that gets sent onto the pitch. So to a funny extent, I wonder if Klopp, not necessarily in his ear telling him to do this, that, and the other, but maybe kind of reminding Pep to rein it in a little bit, because if you noticed, even watching Pep in that, he's very kind of like, guys, you know, he's talking as if he's coaching them in the training pitch, and Klopp doesn't like that. He said he believes that that's too much information. So I'll probably maybe argue that Klopp probably told Pep to chill a bit. stop overloading them with information. That's my kind of.
I pretty much agree with Blue Chips in the building. He says ultimately every decision would have been discussed with Klopp, right, Conroy?
Yeah, and I think as well, see with the squad we had, to be honest, unless something radical happened in the first half, you probably know which options you've got quite, you know what I mean? Because you've got Ox Keita on the bench, and you've got people with COVID and stuff. So they probably had an idea of what that was going to be before the game. And then I can imagine maybe one of the assistants, coaches, had interactions with Klopp, probably similar to Arteta. I just think football, there's so much pressure on every game that I'd be very surprised if Klopp just completely disregarded any communication. I think that just football now, it's as much as, to be fair, in an interview with Pep, he was saying that we're a unified squad, and it's about we all have the same ideology, philosophy towards the football. So, but obviously, when you're at the top of the tree, you make the important decisions. So I'm sure there'd be communication.
Jaden just reminding us what we've been talking about for the last half an hour, but we really appreciate the input. We've literally agreed that Kante and Kovacic destroyed our midfield. Jaden.
Kovacic, incredible, man. My man of the match, personally, Kovacic. I thought he was just insane. Even incredible volleys aside, I thought he was everything Liverpool's midfield wasn't, just personified. I thought he was incredible.
Yeah, look, I can't disagree with either Kante or Kovacic. I think Kovacic has had a bit of an up-down time in terms of his Chelsea career, but he's now showing the levels that he showed why Real Madrid, you know, wanted him, and loads of teams wanted him. The guy just oozes control, and he's got that passion and desire. And when he's fit, he showed what he can do today.
His
like literally,
press resistant ability is amazing. I think when I used to watch him as younger, his press resistant ability.
When people talk about Jorginho being press resistance, you need to watch a lot more football, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
If you want to see press resistance, watch Kante and Kovacic. That's what you call press resistance. But yeah, look, Conroy, we don't manage to get the winning goal. It ends to pretty much, I don't know, balance of play. We take that, but we had a couple of chances. But overall, the performance was just not good enough to warrant the 3 points.
Yeah, and also, Grizz, can we just touch on at that time, after that 20-minute period, I think just in between that, Tuchel makes changes to a free at the back. I think he puts Pulisic right wing back, but then he changes 10 minutes later again. I think we discussed it. So even then, I think we had a short period where we had more of the ball, but then he changed that quickly. And in the last 20 minutes, forgive me, guys, right now I can't think of any chances for either team. Chelsea may have had one then, but the game I fought for about 10, 15 minutes to go, I was like, well, that's it. This is, if anything else can show that Manchester City are a level above, this is it. And unfortunately, that's the way it panned out. I mean, even we get a corner in the 90th minute and we can't even beat the first fucking man. Like, don't get me started on that. And I'm not having to go at Shimikas because Robbo and Trent are the world's worst for it, but I just think that's, sorry for swearing, but I just think that's ridiculous. Like, that's not a mentality of, this is huge, beat the first man, which you're a professional footballer. And I thought that summed the day up. Can't even beat the first man. In fairness to Shimikas, I actually thought he was reasonable today. We had a few good moments. I don't think you can, it was decent performance, you know, so I'm not having a go at him, but that summed up. And yeah, just for, to be honest, guys, seeing a crazy world, see if this was like last season or the season before, if it wasn't sandwiched in between the level we sit in, we need to catch up, you'd probably be buzzing with a draw after that performance. You'd probably be like, that's amazing, because we were outplayed for a lot of it.
Conrad, that means I think we probably all pretty much agree that calls time probably to a title charge, to a title win. But a lot of people in the chat were asking, where now do we go really strong in the League Cup as it's a semi-final, and then we've got the FA Cup on the weekend. depending on how many players we've got left in terms of injuries and COVID scenario.
You might get a
situation.
call, Chris. You might get a call.
I'm ready. I've already got the top on for the in readiment. Go strong on Thursday, Evan. How would you formulate plans in terms of squad rotation in the next few games? Because we've got Arsenal Thursday, we have Shrewsbury, and then Arsenal in the second return leg of the semi-final. How do you go about this period?
Well, I'd say go strong, but the players that we're going to see playing are not what we would consider strong due to obvious shortages in certain positions. So yeah, go as strong as you possibly can without hurting anybody in the League Cup, and play the kids against Shrewsbury, and we will go from there.
We look. Are you of the opinion that look, it's a semi-final? We pretty much have to go as strong as possible. When I say strong as possible, so if we take out the three lads that have gone to the African nations, if we take out Bobby, who won't be back, if we take out Allison, who won't be back, if we take out Thiago, unlikely to be back.
Yeah.
Origi, we don't know about yet. Taki. Even sort of, I'm struggling to think of the front three in that League Cup. So at the top of my head, I'm thinking Ox. The fact that he got 20-minute run out there could be a sign of Klopp thinking you're going to have another go in Arsenal. Jota and Taki.
Yeah, I think that could easily be the team against Arsenal. And I think the rationale of going strong as strong as you can, as many first teamers as possible, isn't just that it's a semi-final and the game against Shrewsbury isn't. It's also about maintaining some semblance of momentum and chemistry. We know how much the coaching team values these things. So what little players are left, we need to keep them sharp. And, you know, these coaches have gotten a few things right over the years, and I think they're right about this sort of stuff too, because we've all seen how we play coming back from warm weather training camp, my least favorite words in the dictionary. And so yeah, people are saying Cade Gordon could easily see Cade. I think we will see Cade Gordon in some shape or form.
Oh, we have to in the next 2 weeks. We have to.
Whether that's Arsenal or Shrewsbury, probably more likely Shrewsbury, but absolutely, you'll see Owen Beck and Connor Bradley. I still can't tell them apart. Need to work on that. And then, yeah, we'll definitely see Tyler Morton. The kids will come out. We definitely need to get Taki and Origi back up to speed as soon as humanly possible, because before long, it won't just be domestic cups. There will be the Champions League, and there will be Premier League games that we have to worry about. So it's a tricky period, and managing game time and making sure that everyone's fit and firing and ready is going to be quite the challenge, given how many resources we have.
H Singh, thank you for the super chat. Come to you, Keith, with this. Bar Salah, Matip, and Tsimikas, maybe Jota. We are well our miles off 18 to 20. We have dropped from elite to a potential cup team. We've peaked. Is it cup? Is it all eggs in the Champions League basket and the two cup competitions as far as you're concerned?
Look, I made a point a couple of weeks ago that we as Liverpool fans, since we've kind of come back to this level of being amongst the elite, we've snuffed our noses at trophies like the League Cup and the FA Cup. It's the reality of the situation, right? Because we felt that the squad could only handle maybe the Premier League or the Champions League. We just need to win trophies. You know, if we, you know, at the end of the day, you just need to win trophies. You want to be like Chelsea. You want to be like Manchester City. You want to maintain this level of the elite. Then you need to be winning year in, year out. Now, every single season, are we going to win the Premier League and win it all the time? Are we going to win every Champions League? You know, there's going to be some times where we'll get good runs. There's going to be some times where we won't. But the League Cup has now become, in my opinion, one of the most important adventures over the next month, to go to the final and to win it. Not only because it's a trophy, but because of the opportunity of who we could potentially face in the finals. Let's not sleep on the fact that I do believe the other match is Tottenham Hotspurs versus Chelsea. Okay, so a big Wembley final against a big team and winning will feel a lot bigger than maybe the competition does suggest. So I absolutely believe that now there's not a lot of Premier League games in January. I think there's only 2. We're very used to playing once every 3 days with Champions League. I think it's time that we do go as strong as possible in the League Cup and we give Arsenal a game. Arsenal are going to be seeing this as a massive opportunity, and I think they're also going to go strong.
100%.
This
100%.
is their biggest chance to win a trophy. So I want us to see us go strong in the League Cup. In terms of do we take those players out and are we less for it? I still think it's a bit harsh on the squad collectively because taking a step back from what has been a terrible week for us. You have to say that the squad in general has taken us into quite a comfortable position in terms of where we are in the league table, sandwich into 3rd. We still got the game in hand. We win that game in hand, we go above Chelsea. City still have to play Chelsea. You don't know what's going to happen in that game. City have lost the same amount of games as Liverpool and Chelsea. Let's not get it twisted. The things that killed us, both of our teams, is the draws, right?
Yeah, City don't draw. City don't draw. Win or lose.
Draw. They just win, right? So Champions League we've been flawless, and the League Cup, the fringe players have come to their own. Taki Minamino is the 2nd top goal scorer in the League Cup. So the squad has been there. The real question becomes, what happens when you lose Salah and Mane's goals? That is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 24 goals out of 52 taken out of the team for the next month, and that's just in the Premier League alone. And it is a concern. Look, I don't know if we got to 300 likes, so I'm just gonna say my piece on the whole FSG thing real quick.
No, we did.
In the summer, I've been out here saying that the squad is good enough. That I believe the squad was good enough to compete. That we had the right type of players. Going into January and seeing everything that I've seen from this team, I think it's time that FSG make a statement of intent and show that Liverpool are an attractive destination for a big player, because I think the fans need it. I think the squad needs a little bit of an uplift. And I actually think that Jurgen Klopp needs to start showing a bit more ruthlessness and actually say, okay, I've made a change in the system and there's players that are simply not good enough. Here is going to be the new evolution. It started with Thiago and it needs to continue. And if we go out of this January by January 31st, not making a signing, then we're in a lot of trouble in terms of where we are, because we're pushing the squad. The squad's becoming thin already, and it's only halfway through the season.
Yeah, look, we're probably going to do a whole show on the January transfer window and sort of possible options and what our strategy could be. I know, Evan. I know. I'm with you on that feeling. But needs a must.
Yeah.
See on Thursday's game, Grizz. I know we're going to do a show on it, and I'm not jumping the gun, but just in general, do you think that maybe Klopp's idea of this has changed in the last week or so? Like, because I know he's a ruthless person in the past, and even Evan said before he doesn't look at the League Cup in that way. Do you think what's happened in the last week will change that? Because I feel like getting anything out of this season with the teams you're competing with is still a massive achievement, and I feel like any semi-final should not be looked down on now, especially the season we've had the last couple of weeks.
Tough question, good question. Do you want to take my role from next week?
No. I just wanted to ask you because
you've asked some good questions. You and Evan have asked some good questions. Yeah. I've asked all the shit questions tonight.
No.
It's a good question. It's a difficult one to answer. History, Klopp's mentality of the last 6 seasons, whatever, has shown he won't change his mind. He doesn't care about, especially the League Cup, and then obviously the FA Cup. I'm not sure. I still don't think it will change much, but only because of the fact that annoyingly, absolutely fucking frustratingly, our B squad, like the ones that were supposed to be on the cusp of the first team, are all out or COVID or injury as well. And that's the reason why I still don't think we will go as strong as we possibly would like to go. I just think his mentality is still keep fighting in the Premier League and Champions League. We're going to make a right fist of it. Just want to read a couple of super chats to see if any of you guys think differently. Jamrock says, "Is the panel sure Klopp feels the same way as they do about the squad? What if Klopp feels different than fans about the capability of the squad? There's nothing we can do about it. Of course, if he feels different, then he will. What's the word, lads? He will pay for his crimes or
Bear the
flourish
responsibility.
and or make us look like absolute idiots that he has done many a time as well. Rapstar says we shouldn't sign anyone if it's not our target this January. We need to start looking at the bigger picture, longer and revamping. We need to be patient and strategic. I think I would consider myself as one of the more patient ones. I'm not reactionary, I'd like to think. I'm not always demanding new toys, new players, blah, blah, blah. But if people have been following me long enough, they will know that I ask for an evolution of sorts, possibly 3 windows ago. And I genuinely believe we haven't, as Evan said earlier, every business we do is brilliant business. I just think we don't do enough of it. And I think that could come back to haunt us. And I think we must address that in the summer. And I think we will. January, Keith, I hear you, but I feel for you because I just don't see any action of the nature that we would require or want happening in January. Another super chat from Rames, who's a contributor, been on the call-in show a couple of times as well. We must be setting a record for losing 2-0 leads this season. I don't understand what our goal as a club is. Is it winning trophies or top 4 competing? If we don't win anything this season, does Salah stay? Salah stays, but carry on. Sorry, guys.
So I've just got one. I actually wrote a couple stats on that point that he made.
Go on.
So Liverpool have dropped 17 points in 8 games this season. Of those games, we have scored 14 goals. We were ahead in 4 of those games, and we were ahead by 2 goals against Chelsea and Brighton.
And City have won every game they've been in the same position in, and that's the difference. Real quickly, I want to circle back to the domestic cups and what we're still in for. Listen, I want us to go and beat Arsenal. I want to go to the final. I want us to win the Carabao Cup. I will celebrate it. I'm not a party pooper or someone who completely disrespects the existence of the domestic trophies. But we could, if we win both of those trophies and don't get anywhere near the Premier League or the Champions League this season, then the season's not a success. Guys, like, we are Liverpool. We are trying to win the Champions League and the Premier League, ideally at the same time. We have the manager to do it. We have the quality to do it. If it's just the domestic cups, I'm sorry, but that does absolutely nothing for a club of our size. I'm sorry, we could win this domestic cup double every single year for the next 5 to 6 years, and I would be saying that's not good enough. That's
still want to win trophies, Ev, though. I mean, it still adds to the wall. It still adds to Chelsea and Man City have built a stature because of that. You know, Liverpool win a Champions League and a Premier League back-to-back. That's great, but what do we do in between that time? There is something to be said for keeping winning trophies, in my opinion, anyway, because literally Chelsea have got a winning culture because of that. Like, that's just the way I see it. I get what you're saying, mate. It's not a good season, but I still think there's something to be said for domestic. There's any trophy you're in, if you can add. So say, for example, last week, people are saying, oh, Klopp's only won 2 major, whatever, in the time he's been here. But, like, he's won 4 trophies. But say if you get another, that adds to that. It adds to what this team has achieved. And people, I think it builds confidence as well. Like a day at Wembley, if you're playing against opposition and you get over that line and lift a trophy, like, for me, that's still, I agree with you, mate. I'm not putting them in the same line. I just think Chelsea and Man City are the prime example. If you win every season, if you get a trophy every season, it creates a winning culture and it keeps that mentality. You know, people say we're mentality monsters, we have been, but
I'm
think
sure
it's
I know it has a value. I'm not saying that it's literally just a cup in a cabinet. It obviously has a value. The players want to win everything. I'm just some guy watching on my couch. That's all I am here. But
No, I'm just saying, mate, we've got opportunity. That's all. Listen, I'm not putting the same. I just think sometimes when you get to a semi-final, like you take it a bit more seriously. That's what I'm saying. And I think
Yeah.
Avi wants to step in.
I just think listen, you know, I'm gonna get some crap for this. Obviously, I respect what the domestic cups do for the footballing league pyramid. I think they're vital for maintaining a certain amount of financial health. It's not lost on me what this does for lower league clubs and things like that. And for that, long may that continue. I'm absolutely pro that. However, just as a Liverpool fan, with what we have, with the players that we have, we should be trying to do a whole lot more. And obviously, winning the Champions League and the League Cup is better than just winning the Champions League. And I would be over the moon if that happens. But I have to say, domestic cups they don't do anything for us, to be honest. It does, like you said, Conroy, it does count. You know what I mean? They all count in making us the most successful English club of all time. You know, over United, it's still another tick in that column. So I totally get it. I hope we do it. But for me, I'm going to be left. I can't see myself being left feeling much better than I currently feel if we end the season with a domestic cup double, but no realistic sniff at the big trophies.
Rapstar says, realistically, if we think our targets are top players, why would their parent clubs let them leave in January? That's a rarity, Keith. So despite you wanting action, January is very difficult. It's not impossible, as then Dean follows up. It's not impossible because look at that list of players. Agnes, Suarez, Coutinho, Sturridge. There's no good signings in January is a myth as well. So
listen, you got to look at the current economic circumstances of the leagues outside of the Premier League at the moment. You know, you look at the likes of Barcelona, you look at the likes of the teams in, sorry, let's look at Barcelona as an example. They can't even get Ferran Torres on the books at the moment because their books are still out of shape. So they're still going to need to let people go, right? They're still going to.
How did they do that? It's got to be illegal. There's no way.
Yeah, well, they live their own way. You know, the Serie A, again, they've had to reduce capacities at crowds, which means that clubs are losing money. You know, we're in a Premier League bubble here, and we really need to take advantage of this Premier League bubble because not only are we in a Premier League bubble, but we're actually in an English bubble because England have just gone about their lives as normal since the lockdowns. We've had full stadiums, we've had full match attendance, merchandise sales, all this kind of stuff been happening. And all the clubs outside of England in Europe have gone back into, we've got empty stadiums again in Germany. We've got empty stadiums in Switzerland, in Austria. We've got empty stadiums in Holland. So, this could be an opportunity right now to say, hey, do you know what? Your finances are looking a bit dodgy there, Barcelona. Here's 30 million or 40 million quid for Luke, for De Jong, for example, a type of midfielder that we're looking for. So, yes,
look Dion there.
Yeah, look, I was going to say, look, hero, what an agent. But this January is not like other Januaries, purely due to economic circumstances of everybody else in Europe, and I think there's an opportunity to take advantage of that.
I think Romel has got the wrong end of the stick with you. He goes, here we go, more propaganda for Keith. I don't know if he's not understood what you've said. I think it's you've gone against your usual propaganda here. So I don't think Romel's concentrated. I think he's just got it in for you. And regardless of whatever you say, he's going to have a dig at you, which is fair. And you're allowed to have a dig on this platform.
I put a huge target on my forehead with my domestic cup slander.
Now, he never said he didn't have no value. That's not what he said. I'm sticking up for it. That's not what he said. He just said
exactly.
He don't have the same value as the Champions League and Premier League, which I think is quite a popular narrative. So I get that.
So guys, look, it is what it is. We are in a situation where we find ourselves, which is 11 points behind Man City with a game in hand. That game in hand, I believe, is the Leeds one, isn't it, at home? Avi wants to come back and have a shot at you, probably, Evan.
I mean, yeah, Avi, I was right there with you in the 70s and 80s. We did it together, brother. I remember it just like it was yesterday.
Oh, it was quick. That was really quick.
Rapstar, shout out to Rapstar, has been our biggest supporter tonight. It doesn't happen. That's the point. History proves that. I don't want to see us get bullied, pay more than usual, because that's what we'd have to do.
Grizz, is the problem with the January window is that our list of players that would improve us and make an immediate impact in terms of helping us win the Champions League, that list of players is so small and those players are so in demand that not only would they cost an obscene amount of money, there's just absolutely no way their clubs are going to deal them in January. That's the issue. January is the window for the desperate.
I agree with you.
It's the window of Newcastle this season, and it was the window of us last season as we desperately tried to get a center back. And
if that's anything to go by,
doesn't usually work out, and there's not a lot of players available. So,
as I said, I just think there's clubs that need money now.
That's true. I mean,
but I also exactly, and this is the frustration part, Keith, that I agree with you as well. So there has to be some form of middle ground, and there has to be some form of plan of action from the owners and everyone else involved. Because people, it's not just about the owners. It has to be from Klopp as well, a willingness to take a risk from Klopp and the owners. People are very quickly ready to bash FSG, and I get where they're coming from, but without knowing Klopp's intentions, it's very easy to do that. Jurgen Klopp needs to make a stand as well, in terms of he has to use the power that he absolutely has as being one of the most elite managers in world football and our elitist manager in definitely our lifetime. And he has to demand certain things or players or finances to make these kind of things happen. And then we know where we are. I have never heard Jurgen Klopp, apart from maybe possibly one press conference, talk about it's fairly obvious what we need. When it was the centre back, have you guys? I have never ever seen, and I've seen his near enough every press conference. He just doesn't do it. So maybe there's a flaw or a weakness or a criticism of Jurgen Klopp to be had here as well.
I think Klopp is notoriously picky. Obviously he's saying things in the media to back his players, and some of it is a game, right? He will defend his players to the ends of the earth and not throw them to the dogs in the media. And let's be honest, I'm sure we all prefer that media strategy to the polar opposite, which is like Mourinho calling someone out, Luke Shaw needs to lose weight. I think Luke Shaw's fat. You know what I mean? We would all prefer the nice guy, good cop treatment with the media. But some things are just so blatantly untrue that we kind of just have to roll our eyes and chuckle and move on. Oxlade-Chamberlain represents a dynamic that you can't find elsewhere in the market. Really? Sometimes, but at the same time, that has a value into how Oxlade-Chamberlain feels about himself as a player. And it's simple sports psychology. If you think you're better than you are, then you will play better than you are. So it has a value. But at the same time, I do wonder if that hyper exclusive shortlist that we run with in terms of who we actually pursue, what little business we actually do, I wonder if it's too small sometimes.
Well, I've got some information to back you up on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jurgen Klopp in 6 years has made 30 signings. Of those 30 signings, 21 of them still play for Liverpool in some capacity. So when you're talking about exclusive, that is hyper exclusive.
It's both impressive and damning at the same time, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, wow, he's so great, and at the same time, it's like, wow, maybe he should freshen up a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
There may be something this January, guys. You never know. Sorry, Chris, on you go.
Just a couple of super chats, and then no, you go straight away. Nawaf says, appreciate the super chat, brother. He says, buy Salah, buy Mane. That means Liverpool in trouble. Thanks. Jamrock says, thanks for saying that, Grizz. Too much speculation. There was one more.
Yeah, Rapstar.
Rapstar says, I like that Klopp doesn't do that. Who's to say he isn't doing it behind the scenes? Absolutely, you have a point. Respectfully, I don't want to see my manager doing that in public. You're right. As the general audience shouldn't be seeing that.
Good.
Very
point.
sensible. Very
100%.
sensible.
Right
Very
there with
Very
sensible.
good. Very good point.
You was going to say, Conrad.
I just, you know what, guys? I've no information to back this up. I feel like we might get someone, but the person I think we might get, for me, it's probably going to like, because Minamino was January, wasn't it? So I think it would be like that. I think the only one I've not heard much, but I think what's the centre mid for Mönchengladbach called again? A defensive mid.
Dennis Zakaria.
I think his contract's up soon as well. That's one that I realistically, unless anyone's got some like contradicting facts in that, I could see that possibly happening. But then again, I don't think that's necessarily, that would help, of course.
Dennis Zakaria has been approached by Liverpool. We have spoken to his agent. We have made him an offer. We've made him the best offer so far. But again, as far as I know, it's for summer.
For summer.
Yeah, I think Mönchengladbach definitely fall into that category of, if you're not a huge club or an oil team, you need money now. Like that is the financial landscape of football. Like there's opportunistic things to be done here. And Mönchengladbach fall into that category of, here's one of our best players who's gonna leave for free in the summer. Should we just deal him on the cheap in January? So.
But guys, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? The reason why I don't think we will do anything in the summer.
Don't say that, Chris.
Woo!
Leave it in.
Retract that.
You heard it here first.
Oh shit! But the reason why I don't think we do anything in the January window is because, guys, the area that we are. Shut up, Javi. Fuck's sake, we're talking about serious people. We're just talking about 16-year-olds. Get off my screen.
I love it.
The reason why I don't think is because we should be. Simon Hughes is a brilliant journalist.
It's good.
And he done a series of tweets today after the game where he spoke of the one area that we all were concerned with, central midfield, of course, but the area and the timing we're concerned was with AFCON and forwards. And the fact that we didn't prepare in the summer for this January by bringing in a forward that we could get used to the way of style of play for the months leading up to the AFCON, and hope that by AFCON they will have some resemblance of knowing how we attack, knowing how we play, means there's, in my opinion, zero chance of an attacker coming in and being utilized just for the fact that AFCON will take away our two best forwards for 2 league games.
Yeah.
That's just the way I think and feel.
Like we said it last show, didn't we, Grizz? If we weren't willing, if it took us to the last day of the January transfer window to even bring in Ozan Kabak on loan when there was such a pressing need to salvage our season, we're not going to do it just because there's some midfielders.
Sorry, I'll let you. I'm just going to butt in very rudely. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
The only thing I will say in defense of that, Evan, is the fact that we had an agreement with Kante, which was our long-term target for the summer. That's the only slight defense I'll have for that. Only slight, though.
And you could say the same thing for Zakaria right now. That's why we won't do a midfielder tomorrow, because we have one lined up for the summer. So, again, Klopp. If you think Klopp likes short-term solutions, then you haven't been paying attention. This dude is so anti-short-term solution. It's hilarious. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can't see anything happening because that short list again is just so small, and the odds that one of those players is available for a reasonable price within the next month is again even smaller. So the chances are not looking good.
Watch this. We'll put a 40 million bid in tomorrow for Bowen. That'll end up happening.
But it's true, because look, there's very few. I think Keith said, or someone in the chat said, in terms of if we're looking to improve our current squad, the only way to improve our current squad is by bringing in top class, right?
Yeah.
And top class players won't be released very easily in January. But I do get what Keith is saying, that if you put the money on the table, there is clubs that are in dire straits. Now, those clubs will have to evaluate whether being in dire straits can be resolved by accepting a bid in January, or do they hold out in summer when they can possibly create an auction? Do you get what I mean, guys?
That will all depend on what's going on with the current situation with Omicron virus at the moment. Remember, a lot of these clubs in Europe have had their winter breaks. They're starting to come out of these winter breaks as it is. And Omicron now is raging through the likes of Spain, Italy, Germany. Cases are going increase. So how are they going to fill their stadiums again going into January, going into February? And again, more empty stadiums, more empty seats, loss of revenue, merchandise revenue. TV channels ratings are going to drop because people don't necessarily like to watch empty football stadiums for the casual fans. You know, there's a lot of circumstances that are currently happening that, you know, again, like you all said, and I agree, don't get me wrong, top class players rarely become available in this time at this time, but this is not a normal time. And I still don't think that there's enough stability in Europe as a whole compared to what's going on in the Premier League for us to necessarily turn around and go, actually, guys, if we just pay that extra bit of money and actually really make them think about it, we need solutions in the midfield. And we need solutions in the attack. Someone did a super chat earlier talking about trust. Now, it really it's a real eye opener, the level of trust.
Did I read it out? Did I miss it?
Yeah, you did read it out earlier in terms of like
Okay.
who Klopp trusts in terms of his squad. He doesn't trust Taki Minamino. I'm sorry to say that he doesn't trust Taki Minamino. He just about trusts Divock Origi to throw him in for 5-10 minutes of a game. Clearly, he doesn't trust Naby Keita and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain enough to start them in one of the biggest games of the season that actually puts James Milner in there. So there's a question mark around trust for a number of key areas where the fans are looking at, and quite rightly saying that, hey, actually, we need to do something in this position. Fabinho, you know, we can't keep relying on Fabinho being the only specialist in his position to do what he does. It's impossible, because ultimately the guy will run himself into the ground, go off for a month, and then takes him about a couple of weeks to get back up to scratch anyway. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know, this is all becoming a situation where, you know, normal January, normal. Even me, as I said, I'm saying this goalmouth on Twitter. You've all argued with me. You've cussed me out. I even did a retweet earlier where I just said, hey, look, I still believe that Liverpool have been a product of their own downfall, and they've been wasteful as anything, right? So it's not necessary to go out the squad, because actually I believe that we've been in situations where we should have done better. But looking at it as a homogenous situation, there is two things that are very, very clear right now: who Klopp trusts and where the issues lie in this team. And I think that January could be a great time to make a decision and bring in a player. Now, we talk about players fitting into the system, but then we talk about the likes of Thiago. Klopp brought Thiago in and put him straight in to the team ASAP. So there are players out there that Klopp will look at and trust enough to play from the off. And I think that the owners, Klopp, and the team in general need to sit down and make a decision and see what's staring them in the face, because otherwise we go into the rest of the season and we continue to have these conversations.
Just a couple of super chats before we try to round it up. Rapstar says, look at the forwards we're linked with: Rafinha, Luis Diash. Say his second name, please. It's a must. Bowen, Danjuma. None of their clubs releasing them in January unless we pull our pants down for them. Messi FC says, Dennis Zakaria is a West Ham level player. To be honest, I actually not a massive fan of Dennis Zakaria. I'm just, relaying what I've heard.
West Ham not a bad level these days, is it?
No, it's not a bad level, especially if you want a couple of their players.
I'd take 3 or 4 of those players.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say something else, but yeah, look, my personal favorites, or in that position, I've said it before as well, take away, obviously we can't, but if Bissouma is absolved of any issues, whatever, he'd be my number one target. Otherwise, wouldn't touch him if those allegations are true. Make that clear. And Tchouaméni of Monaco, they're my 2 standouts. Dennis Zakaria is good, but I don't think he'd be my choice. Guys,
who's that from Monaco?
Have I said it? Pronounced it wrong?
No, I just didn't hear you. No.
Oh, Tushimani.
Oh, him. Okay, cool.
I thought you were gonna call me out, man. I was like,
No,
have I fucked up? Have I fucked up with the pronunciation or something?
No,
was
I
like,
got a
shit.
beanie on. I can't hear it. It's all good.
Keith, always got one for you.
Wow, what a decision. First of all, let's hope that Roman Reigns recovers from COVID, because he is actually immune oppressant or something like that, because he had leukemia. So hope he's all well. Great decision. What a way to pop a rating. Let's put it that way. Interesting to see which way WWE go with this now. But what a way to pop a rating. And what a man Brock Lesnar is. What an athlete.
This is how you say it, Keith. Sorry, Evan. Tushimani.
Tushimani.
Yeah, I thought I spell it out for the people.
We got some conflicting pronunciations in the chat. We got tissue many, douche-many.
Oh, someone's taking the piss. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Avi, let us know how we're supposed to spell it.
No,
Or
no, don't ask him. Don't ask him.
On the way.
Oh God, I wasn't serious, man.
Yeah, you're a mute. Yes, you're a mute.
Keith Bingo.
Brilliant. We thought we're gonna have we're gonna have a session without mute. Keith nearly got through it, but you came in and done the deed. Well done, son.
How's it going? Yeah, look, great show. So I thought I'd just close it up. You said how do you pronounce it, Grizz?
Tushimani.
That's a good effort. Yeah, you can't complain. Tushimani.
Okay,
Tushimani. No. It's definitely not that.
You guys just said it like 5 different ways.
No, the way Grizz said it. Was right.
Guys, there's so many different versions. Shoemani.
That's not a bad effort either. Shoemani.
You guys are hilarious. Shoemani.
This is probably
as long as we get him, and in the first interview, people ask him, "How do we pronounce your name?" I'd be over the moon with that. But yeah, people are saying, "Have you heard Luis Diaz?" and immediately joined the stream. You know, but Avi, look, we decided to give Avi a break because Avi's not very happy when we don't win, which none of us are, but we still sort of pop a brave face. Conrad, is there anything else that you want to touch upon before we wrap it up, man?
No, great show, guys, and very therapeutic as usual. After we don't win to come on here, it really helps.
I feel okay now. When I say okay, I feel my blood pressure has sort of
reduced. Yeah, definitely. But come on, make sure you smash the likes and subscribe if you've not. We've had 600 people in tonight. The chat's been amazing, informative, and knowledgeable as always. So just thanks to them as well for making it great. As Grizz says, the knowledge in the chat's always amazing. So does Avi, and all the guys do. So just a thanks to them, and it's been a top show. So thanks.
Is Tony Tone? Hope you're not on Chelsea ITK, because that's bad news if he's going to Chelsea. I could definitely see them doing with someone like that. That would be an amazing signing for them. We're only 12 away from 400, guys, so let's just get that 400 and then we'll call it a night. Otherwise, we'll do your head in all night. Me and Avi will just carry on the show afterwards. Well, Adams with the super chat. You was in the super chat earlier as well. Big up yourself. We've been here for over 2 hours and these men are still giving us quality content. Thank you, sir. You man are legends. Smash the likes, people. Avi,
that's Adams.
Thanks, Adams.
That's Adams Cole, who's from Canada, my mate. So big
he's
up
not your mate.
Absolutely not your mate. He's from Canada.
He's never met him before in his life. He's never met him before in his life.
Absolutely, he's not your mate.
He's from Vancouver. He's my mate.
Adams, can you confirm you know him like in any way, shape, or form? Because a couple of shows ago, I don't know if you guys saw it, Avi claimed the same thing from someone else, and the guy didn't get back to me when I asked him, "Do you know Avi?" And Avi was like, "That's my mate."
You intimidate people, Chris. No one's gonna come.
I'm asking them a question. What's intimidating about that? I'm asking them, "Do you know Avi?" Like Avi claims. Guys, let's get that like to 400.
5 likes away, guys. Come on, 5 likes.
Yeah, hey, guys, I know I didn't cry on stream like I promised, but I promise I'm going to cry as soon as we turn the cameras off.
We've got another shout out to how to say the name. Here we go. Chow mein.
Chow mein.
Isn't that a Chinese dish, right?
Chicken chow mein, yeah. Chicken chow mein.
People are taking the piss now, man.
I like my chow mein. I might actually have Chinese today, actually, so yeah.
Chris, check out the comment just under that. That's asking you, just about doing more watch-alongs because everyone's enjoying the watch-alongs as well.
Let's just see
Shout out
this
to you
one.
guys for doing that. Superb.
Adam Petruccioni. I'm
Petruccioni.
so sorry if I've
Yeah.
butchered your name there. I
You
apologize.
actually butchered it. Petruccioni.
Grizz, Jonathan Traeger tweeted about Zakaria while we were talking about him.
Who?
Jonathan Traeger, he's a journalist.
The German one. Okay.
Yeah,
What did he say?
he said Manchester United, Liverpool, Borussia Dortmund, and Bayern Munich have all recently inquired about the possibility of signing Dennis Zakaria in January.
Don't say I'm not tier 1. Don't ever doubt me. Don't say I'm not tier 1.
He literally said this 20 minutes ago, so probably right
There
when
you
we
go.
were talking.
I tweeted this. When did I tell you about Dennis Zakaria? A few weeks ago.
A month ago.
But anyway, Grizz, check your contacts about Darwin Núñez. He missed
Good
his
player for
last start
Benfica.
unexpectedly. Also, there is was a Lisbon
Blackpool flight the other
Blackpool
day.
flight.
That's a joke.
Okay, we're going
Darwin
down that route.
Darwin Núñez.
Sky Scanner. Check
We're
it
going
out.
down the Sky Scanner time.
You guys ever see those players who are like so clearly a regen of like a current veteran? I swear Darwin Núñez is like Cavani's son. I swear they're the same player.
He's been potent this season. He's been potent.
Guys, this is Avi's burner. He's saying, will you hurry up and finish?
No,
lads?"
I'm free. I can actually go for another hour. If everyone's tired, I can actually go.
Is that Paul? That's the aftershave. That's the guy who owns Paul Smith. That's great.
Yeah, the clothing.
No, that's brilliant.
Listen.
Mike Dean and Paul Smith in our chat. That's brilliant.
We've got Emmy Husky in the chat as well. Look, we've given our Henderson thoughts. People may think that I'm going to defend him. I think that's what he's trying to get at. I'm not. You can't defend a performance like that. All I've said is I like to judge players' performances on the actual performances in terms of, or rather than what they are sort of perceptions. If they play good, you say they play good. If they play bad, you say play bad. I hate this sort of sometimes from people, pundits, analysis, fans, whatever, where they just have an opinion of a player and it's set in stone. That's why I don't agree with it. But guys, is there anything else for anyone else? Keith, any news, any wedding plans, and any, not personally, but sort of attending any weddings? How's the diet going?
Dry January, I'll be locked up. Although you might find me maybe going incognito in the Arsenal fans' end next week. So I might be there if any fans bump into me, Liverpool fans, come shout out, come say hello. But I may be at the Emirates next week. Other than that, I'm locking myself in and keeping away from haram.
Best way, brother. Keep it real. Keep it real. Mr. Sacregard, what's happening? Everything good? Anything else to add?
Everything's great, man. I'm gonna try and not think about football for at least 24 to 48 hours.
Good luck with that.
We'll probably see him in a space in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was
Keith is literally setting a space up right now. Keith is doing it on his
That's
phone
for you,
right
Evan.
now.
That's for you, Evan. That one there.
Hold on, guys. What'd you guys say? No, I was gonna say it's gonna be hard because I'm addicted to this thing called Twitter. So yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Mate, just uninstall it. I was thinking about it yesterday.
No, it's
honestly.
cool. Now keep it. But wait, listen, the more shows, look, my aim in life is to get you guys away from Twitter. Like I'm slowly detaching myself away from Twitter.
It's a drug.
It is a drug. But listen, the content we're producing on here, I reckon by a few months will be a.
It's still going. So you just know someone's like got it on, paused it for 5 minutes, and they're still doing it.
This one isn't that bad.
Mane. Avi, very, 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 very quickly, what's a good season? Because Emil Heskey is asking us, what's a good season now, guys? Just you, not everyone else.
Finish as high as possible in the League Cup and a Champions League. I'm happy. I'll be at that parade in June if that happens. League Cup, Champions League, 100%.
Last one of the night, second last one of the night. Chumaine and what the hell is this? Shuing Money. That's the worst one of the night. Avik, you've come out with the worst one. You've left it to the last to come out with.
I think I know Avik Chakraborty as well, but
you haven't. Sure. No one has come back. Every person that you have claimed to know, I've asked.
I'll tell you intimidate. They don't answer back. That's it.
No. But listen, guys, this has been the REDDELLAS podcast, YouTube show, post match. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2. We believe it's the end of our title race, but we have seen miracles from this amazing club of ours. This would be the biggest miracle of all, in my humble opinion. It possibly would it be a bigger miracle than last season in terms of finishing top 4? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. In a part, let us know in the comments when the video is out. You guys have been amazing. You guys, Redfellas, you guys have been amazing. Avi, thanks for turning up. You're not in the amazing part of the part where I'm praising everyone.
I'm just the part. The part bit. The bit part.
Thank you for coming on
Yeah.
and showing us your mug. But we're out of here, man. Hit that intro. Let's be done with it.